Yeah, the fireside part of it, it's 115 down here, so let's turn the fire off.
I'm telling you, I guess that goes back to Franklin Delano Roosevelt when he did his fireside chats on Saturdays.
Yeah, I think it was in the 40s.
I think one of the first times I interviewed you officially, you were doing The Bold and the Beautiful.
Okay.
And you'd come on as a detective named Hunter Jones, aptly named Hunter, and you were trying to help prove that Ridge did not shoot Grant Chambers. And that was a very interesting time of the show. It was the 10th anniversary. Bill Sr. was still actively involved in the show. And do you have any memory?
Yeah, as a matter.
I don't know why it started already. It's not giving me.
Uh-oh. The mute just went on. Ashley, I just unmuted mine and it worked, I think.
We need to unmute people and we need to unmute.
Yeah, I saw that we had all muted, but I guess if we unmute ourselves, we will not be muted. Tristan, can you unmute yourself?
But please, everyone else, stay muted if you would.
Yes, thank you.
Type.
But Tristan is still on mute. We need to get you off mute, Tristan.
How do I type?
It's in the upper right corner of your box, Tristan. If you look, there might be some. Yes.
How's that?
There you are.
Perfect.
Have I done it?
Yes.
Yes, you have. We can hear you fine now. And I was saying to you, what was your experience on The Bold and the Beautiful like?
It was a really positive one. The problem from their point of view was they wanted me for 6 months, and I'd already gotten booked to do a show in Canada, which I was associate producing, called Fast Track. And I said, okay, here's the deal. We can take 6 months, and if you can get it all done in 2 weeks, you got me. So what they did is they took the end and brought it to the beginning and switched everything around. So when I left the show, they still had the rest of the show to shoot. And so the end had been revealed, but then they had to go back and prove that this kid actually did what he said he did. And he turned out to be, it didn't turn out to be the way everybody thought in the end. But it was a really good experience. I loved working in there. It was great to, they loved to party. And so Bill Sr. was there and I got a chance to meet him. In fact, he said to me, he said, look, when you finish doing that little job you're doing in Canada, come back. I'd like to talk to you about Young and the Restless. It never happened.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, he'd passed away, I think, at that point.
I know he had officially retired as head writer the following year, but and he was active for a few other more years.
Hi.
And then that wasn't your only visit to CBS. You were also Colin Atkinson, Kane's father, on Young and Restless. Can you talk about that experience? And did you work directly with Jeannie on that?
She came into it. That was supposed to be that was a 10-day job.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay.
You're muted. Yep. Sorry.
You said it was supposed to be a 10-day job?
Yeah, it was kind of like a General Hospital, but in reverse. Because General Hospital was like a 3-day job.
Am I unmuted now?
You're unmuted.
Oh, I just want to ask you, how's
Not too good.
So General is supposed to be a 3-day job.
Yep. And Y&R was supposed to be a 10-day job. And after the first two episodes, Jill and I got along so well together that they felt that it was going to be more than that, and it turned out to be way more than that.
Am I unmuted now?
Yeah.
Amy, we'd like to take questions a little later if that's okay.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Just let me
That's
know
okay.
when.
We'll get to you. Absolutely.
Okay.
I love
Sorry.
That's perfectly all right.
He's my favorite, and it's the first time I'm talking to him.
I'm telling you, he's our favorite too. We love the guy. He's absolutely great.
All right, just let me know when I can see.
We'll let you know. Yes, definitely. But if you could hit the mute button for now, that'd be great.
Okay, I will.
Thank you.
Okay.
You were paired on Y&R a bit with Jess Walton.
Yeah.
And she's just absolutely fantastic. One of my favorite actresses ever. Can you talk about what it was like working with her?
Well, it started out great. The dialogue was perfect for the time. And, literally these two were having sex like 5 minutes after they met. And we kept it funny. We kept the humor in it, and we added a bit of humor. And I think that's what sold it, was the fact that suddenly, Jess had this guy with her who was a bit of a clown, but a dangerous clown. And I think everybody kind of got behind that and said, okay, well, let's keep it going. And we did. At the end, it was 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I came back, because the guy's in jail now, supposedly.
Mhm.
So at any particular point, they could change that. And you never know. You know,
Yeah,
it's
I mean, Lily's on the show right now, but the Collins grandchildren, Maddie and Charlie, and I guess that would also include little Sam, all off the canvas right now. But
right.
hopefully they would have you back at some point. I know Jess is not hasn't been on in a little bit. We hope that changes as well. When you go into a new show like that, what's the game plan like? Because each show has a different style of shooting, rehearsal, camera
Right.
blocking, and so when you go to a new show, what's that experience like?
Well, the first thing you're thinking is, regardless, even though I've been in the business a while, you're always thinking, well, I'm the new kid on the block, and how's that going to be accepted? So, Jess was a pretty significant character on that show.
Oh, yeah.
And so you can't help but be, I won't say intimidated, but you can't help but be, well, concerned, and you don't want to screw it up. And so that was my attitude towards it. We sat down and went through it and together and ran a few lines, and it became apparent right from the start that there was going to be a lot of humor, and she really liked that. I'm not sure that all of the humor was in the mind of the writers when they were putting it together, but they got on board real quick and just let us have fun with it, change it, do what we liked.
Humor is extremely difficult to do on daytime. Why is that? And why do you think it can also be done successfully?
Firstly, it's not written that way. For some reason or other, soaps are meant to be about sturm and dram and hardship and misery and all the rest of it. And that's the first thing I'd look to get rid of. I say, hey, somebody who's out there who's miserable at the moment, they're not tuning in to have that misery thrown back at them. They want something that's going to take them out of that for a bit. And that's kind of how I think in terms of entertaining people. I don't think in terms of how I should be teaching them how to eat food or bring up their kids or exercise or live their life. They want to be entertained. And so that's what I'm all about. I did that well with Scorpio on General Hospital, and I take it with me wherever I go. In fact, I actually managed to get a bit of it in with Hunter Jones on Bold and the Beautiful.
In what way?
there was a scene I had with Ron Moss,
Mm.
and we're just getting to know one another. And I had put a prop bottle of scotch in the bottom drawer of the desk I was behind. So he's talking away. So I just pulled this out and sat it down with a couple of glasses, and everyone's going, this is one of those WTF moments, you know, wow, what is he going to do with that? And I poured a couple of drinks out of it. It had your usual flat Coca-Cola in there. And I pushed one across the table, and he looked at me as much as to say, what am I supposed to do with this? Here, let's drink to our relationship. Boom. And that's kind of, you know, that was a loose moment, which wasn't scripted.
Yeah, that's great. I love those things. And fans appreciate the spontaneity and the extra bit of care that's given to detail. Belated congratulations, or I probably did the last time we spoke, but congratulations again, I should say, on your Daytime Emmy win last year for the character of Doc on Studio City. First of all, here's what I ask every award winner. Where do you keep that Golden Girl?
Oh, my wife's got it on the mantelpiece.
Good place.
She had a place for it long before we even knew I was going to get it.
Nice.
So yeah, that had a home immediately. Took it, but what you don't get is that it takes a while to actually get it. You don't walk off the stage with it. It was 8 weeks before they finally actually sent it to me.
Yeah, it has to be engraved and shipped and packed properly and all those things. How did it feel to get it? And did it also feel like an acknowledgement of your, not just your role as Doc, but of your entire career?
Well, the role of Doc was really important to me because I knew about this project years ago, but Sean didn't tell me too much. And finally, he said, I want you to read this scene here. He said, I think I've encapsulated your character well. So I read it and I thought, okay, this is what the scene is. This is what I'm going to be doing on the show, because we'd already agreed I was going to do it. And so on the day of, I turn up and someone says, oh, here's your script. I said, oh, no, I've got the script. No, here, take it. I looked at it and it had nothing to do with the scene that Kanan had given me. It was a totally different script. I said, wait a minute, what's this? Oh, they're the scenes you're doing. I'm going, what? Yeah. So I had to sit down quietly somewhere and get it all together in my head because there was a lot of stuff going on in it. And there was a lot of things that I related to in it. And there's a lot of things that, you know, we never actually get around to talking about why do they call him Doc? That's for another show. But yeah, I mean, I got into it right away. And everything you saw was pretty much one take. We didn't go back over stuff. Timothy Woodward Jr. had a real eye for how this was going to be and the look we wanted. And the look was quite different from anything we had in daytime at the time. Granted, we had a little bit more time to, where'd you go?
I'm right here.
Oh, right. Granted, we had a little bit more time to shoot it than the average daytime drama has, but still a lot of time went into lighting. And these guys that were there that did that, the camera people and the lighting, couldn't speak a word of English. And they just got on and did it. Timothy had worked with them before and he knew exactly what they were going to do. And so that was fine. Fine, get on with it, do it. But I got to admit, when I actually sat down and saw it, I was blown away.
Yeah.
I thought, you know, yeah, this is all the work that I did and they've got all of it down and hell, I can't complain about that. And I didn't, you know, it was a wonderful experience. The second one I thought was even better. And here we are now, just waiting for word on whether the show's going to get picked up.
And it must have felt great when it won the Daytime Emmy for Best Digital Drama.
We needed to win that. Forget about all the others, but we needed to win that award to legitimize the show, to say, hey, we're here, we're real, we're good, and you better take notice of us.
Yep.
And yeah, it was great.
That's wonderful. We had a question in the chat room that I'm going to steal and ask. Do you have any memories of working with the late Stuart Damon, whom we recently lost?
Yes and no. Stuart and I didn't work a lot together. I mean, I was Scorpio and I had a mission, and the hospital staff weren't really part of that mission. So yeah, I had scenes with him. He was always spot on. There was a toughness in Stuart, which they didn't always allow to come across, but it was there, and I picked up on it and tried to throw it back at him. But he was very astute in terms of what was going on the show. He'd been there a while, and I remember seeing him on The Saint a long time ago. And the episode he did on that, it was actually the pilot for a series that they were going to do over there on him. And it never happened, but he was working with Roger Moore on The Saint and yada, yada, yada. And that was my first experience with him. And when I got to General Hospital, I thought, hey, I know you. You're such and such off this particular show I saw with The Saint. And he laughed when I brought that up. He said, yeah, one of those jobs, and never happened. I said, yeah, we've all got a few of those. But yeah, he was great. I loved working with him in the limited time that I did work with him. I won't say that we ever had any long scenes together, but we worked. He was good.
Speaking of, just the best. I was reviewing your IMDb, speaking of, episodics and guest spots, and I saw that in '84 you'd done a guest spot on a action series called Cover Up with Jennifer O'Neill and the late John Eric Hexum. Do you have memories of working with those two, and also Richard Anderson?
I remember John Eric. I worked with him. It was the episode before the unfortunate accident happened. And I knew the producer quite well. And it was one of those things you look back on it. That particular accident, it changed a lot of Hollywood. It changed a lot of how we dealt with firearms and props.
Yeah.
And I remember William Shatner during the news, he demonstrated on what a full load blank could actually do. And, he fired this can like 40 feet across the studio. And after that, prop people really had to pay attention. You would never be allowed, we were working general, but you were never allowed after that to leave the set carrying a prop with a knife or a gun or whatever. You had to hand it over. And we'd always been very, very tight on General Hospital about stuff like that. And so it didn't really affect us in so many ways.
Right.
But I knew in a couple of other shows that, they really had to, they'd been loose, they'd been sloppy, not anymore.
Yeah, more than a few actors have told me over the years that tragedy resulted in a lot more care being put into training and just people being careful, so it wasn't repeated.
It's unfortunate that stuff like this has to come about through an accident. It's like, a plane crashes, all of a sudden they start paying attention to safety. It just shouldn't be that way. I mean, especially something like on a set where you're handling real firearms. You don't get a real firearm anymore. They've got ones that look like firearms and they fire an electric flash at the end, which looks like the real thing, and then they dub in sound.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate that, someone's got to get hurt or die, even worse, before anything happens. That was the only experience I'd had with that. And it was a shock.
Well, what's been the most memorable, action scene you've had, either using a weapon or climbing something or doing something physical? Would it be the cable car?
Yeah, that was pretty action-packed.
Yeah.
There was, you talk about things that could go wrong. Here we are in a cable car about, oh Christ.
There you are.
You're
My
back.
battery's dying. Here we are on a cable car, like 2,000 feet in the air, with the door open and no straps, no safety at all about us. And we're having this fight, and it's in an area about the size of a Chev Suburban, and there's about 8 people in there, and the temperature's like really high. And the first punch I throw breaks John's ribs, but he can't go anywhere, so we've got to continue. So we have to finish it. And then there's this one scene where he throws me out the door, and we have a stunt double for that. Well, if you look very carefully at that, you can see the cord coming down her sleeve, around her wrist, this wire cord. And that's what stopped her from going all the way to the bottom. But it was quick. We had one take at it. That was it, because we'd already monopolized the cable car for 2 hours longer than they booked it for. So we had to really get this stuff done. And that was probably the most dangerous of any of the stunts that I ever did, because you always did your own stunts, mostly. I mean, I did, Tony did. And so therefore you had to make it look real. Otherwise they'd cut it out because it was so much trouble. There you go.
Yeah. I think maybe we could take a few questions.
Yeah, I'm scared this thing's going to die.
Yeah, I want to let people get in. Amy, I think you had a question. You said it was your first time seeing Tristan. I don't know if
Amy?
she can be unmuted, or if you want to put the question in the chat, I can
Am
ask.
I unmuted now?
Yes, you
Hi,
are
babe.
unmuted.
Yeah, how's Teresa feeling? I'm worried about her.
Not good.
Yeah, I have the same problem,
Oh,
and I
really?
just know how painful it is.
Yeah, it's the worst thing she said since childbirth.
Yeah, I know. I'm going through that. Plus, I have to go for, I just found out I have to go for iron infusions.
I
So
don't
I'm
know what
really,
they can do with her. I mean, she was supposed to do an MRI today, but that didn't work out, so it was canceled. So she's
what
got to
is
go.
this? What
She's got to
is
wait.
it? The,
Huh?
it's the insurance, or are they just messing around with her? It's like,
No, not that. It was that they got. I didn't realize there was more than one type of MRI.
oh,
There is, and this she was meant to have the other type, and not the one she went in for today. So,
you make sure they give her an open one.
yeah, that was the problem. It wasn't open.
Yeah, but just how you hanging in there?
Oh, I'm pretty good. I mean, all I got to do is push around a little cart, and I'm cool. I mean, I got
And
the easy.
I'm really pissed off at what GH is doing to you.
hey, it's the business. It's, it's their show. It's not mine.
Well,
Well,
I
tell you.
love you in I love you in Studio City. I love you in the Bay. And from what I've seen of PS After Dark, I love it.
Good.
Thanks so much for your
I
question,
really
Amy.
don't care that GH has done what they did. Hey, they're messing with Anna too. They're throwing her with anybody and anyone. So you know what? They're screwing with everybody.
Thank you.
Well, Amy,
Amy.
thanks for your question, and we really appreciate your support. Does someone
Go
else?
ahead
have a
with
question?
somebody else.
Eva.
I was being quick.
Thank you. Eva, I think you had a question. Are you able to unmute?
Yes. Oh, well, several. First of all, this is so exciting. I started watching GH because of you and Holly, and I wonder if you and Holly are still friends. Tell me about the wallaby when it was on the show. I loved it when you got handcuffed with her. And this is the first time I'm hearing what's happening with you and GH. I mean, GH isn't the same without you. I missed all that espionage. This is beyond exciting.
Okay. Where do I start with this one? Well, to start with, I'm not on the show at the moment. However, the only thing I can say is that I am coming back.
Great.
When? I don't know, but it'll be this year. And that's about as much as I can tell you. No, Emma and I don't keep contact. We've worked together in a PA for Linda at one point, but, and I'm sure it'll happen again. But yeah, the last thing we saw from Emma was she was locked in a basement somewhere.
We talked about this, Tristan. I thought they were really smart to show that, because we all know that, well, we're all hoping that certainly this would not be the last of Holly. And even if Emma couldn't do a long thing at the time, it was great to see that moment thinking, okay, we're putting a pin in this and we'll come back to it. That was my walk away from seeing her, however briefly we did.
Well, oh, I got stereo going here.
Yeah, we hear.
Let me turn that off.
The
What I
fact that
think
you
is gonna
laughed at
happen-
that made my night. Go on.
What I think they're going to do is they brought Charlie Shaughnessy in, and he plays her cousin. I can't help but think that there's got to be some connection there.
That speculation started immediately as soon as Charlie's casting was announced, which I think it's so fascinating, the number of actors who've done both Days and General. Teo had been off for, I think, 36 years, and then came back as Victor. And every time I'd see Teo when he was off Days, I would say, when are you going back as Victor? And the fact that they finally did it, I thought was just fascinating, because soap opera is the only medium that you can do stuff like this in.
That's true.
I mean, Dallas did it a little bit when it was revived in 2014, but it had been off for so long. But soaps can do it, and they should, and they do, which I think is fascinating, and it's terrific.
Well, I remember killing Victor. So that was a shock to me when that happened.
You killed Victor or Tony?
I killed a lot of people back then.
Yeah, a lot of people
was my
got
stock in
frozen at the
trade.
climax of that storyline.
True. How do I turn this damn thing on?
I don't know, but if you say schedule, like Scorpio does, you'll get
Schedule.
that stereo. There you go.
Okay, I think we've done it. So what's next?
Raymond, did you have a question you wanted to ask, I believe? Raymond S.
Maybe he's overwhelmed.
think we all are. This is.
Oh, come on now.
It's pretty freaking awesome.
I've been around for 40 years, for crying out loud. You don't get overwhelmed under those circumstances.
Well, he had asked, I hate to ask it for him, but he was wondering what you thought of the John Riley tribute.
That was great.
Yeah.
I'd known about it for a while. And the fact that they wrote his daughter in, she was a very accomplished actress. I was even more rolled over about the whole thing. I would like to see, I mean, they left her role at the end open-ended.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people thought, well, okay, now what? But so far there is no now what. So that's always something out there hanging, like, you know, waiting for the other shoe to drop, so to speak. So we'll see. I can't help but think that there's an opportunity there. So I would expect something down the line.
I thought it was wonderful that Sharon was able to be included and that they showed the clip of the wedding, which remains, talk about doing humor on daytime.
Oh man, that was the funniest wedding in history.
The fact that they were bickering, the fact that they then made it work and they got through the ceremony. I think Pat Falcon Smith was back writing at that point.
Yeah, right. You're right.
That didn't get enough publicity back in the day. I think if I'd been in the press back then, I would have been shouting that from the rooftops.
Yeah.
Because she created the character, correct?
Yeah, she created him more as a bad guy.
Yeah.
To my knowledge. Because, you know, Scorpio was really done after the second episode. And that at that point, after the first episode, was when Gloria hauled me into the office and said, we like what you're doing. You want to hang around? And I kind of blubbered and drooled and said, yeah, of course. And at which point, my agent was already in negotiations even before they told me. So there you go.
That's nice.
They had a plan.
Gloria had this eye for talent. There was an actress named Linda Donat who was on the show as Bill Eckert's ex-wife, Nancy, and she was hell on wheels. And she didn't get the script till late for the reading or for the screen test. So she kind of went off script, and she was so good. Gloria went up to her after the screen test and said, dear, that was nice, but where was the script?
She did that a lot.
When
Geary and I started to really mess with the script,
yeah,
she would come down occasionally and say, okay, you're having a way too much fun. That's nothing to do with this show. And we go, oh, okay, well, what would you like us to do? Well, do what you're doing, but leave that little bit there in and leave that in, because I need that. Now go ahead. And that was all the direction you'd get, but it was enough.
Is it true when she would come out onto the set, you could hear nothing but her high heels clicking on the floor?
That would be the truth. I remember several times when that happened, Geary and I would look at each other and then bolt off the set because we knew we were going to get reamed.
Mother's coming.
Yeah, exactly. But the bad boys were like off the set, you know. She'd come in and say, where are they?
Did you see the movie Tootsie?
Yeah.
And the character that Doris Bilak played, the producer, was said to have been based on Gloria. And there was even kind of not the red hair, but there was a physical likeness in there that I saw, or maybe it was just her persona and the way she carried herself.
Dustin Hoffman used to stand in the shadows. You can see him. And when the girls walked off the set, he would talk to them. Never spoke to the guys, always spoke to the women. And he was there doing some research.
Yeah, I thought I remembered reading that he had shadowed on General Hospital for a bit, especially when they had Sally the hitman doing the reveal of that.
Yep.
It was a man. So
there you go.
That was for the Tootsie. You know, he would.
That explains much.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no question. Gloria, I was told Gloria wasn't too happy about it, but hey, what are you going to do?
No. Bill Bell Senior was not a fan of Soap Dish either. He just felt that it was crossing too many lines. I felt Tootsie did a better job of showing what it might be like backstage at a soap. I thought Soap Dish was a little bit more maybe exaggerated.
Yeah, I don't think I ever saw Soap Dish.
Mm.
Tootsie, I definitely saw.
Finola had a,
Because I later on had the pleasure of working with the writer. I can't think of his name now. He was the head writer for Fast Track that we did up in Canada, which is
Yep.
Everybody has to do a show like that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, at least once.
exactly.
Linda
Did
has
we
a
have
question.
any other questions?
Yeah, Linda Muller.
Yes, Tristan, you were saying about the lack of humor in the soap operas, and lately General Hospital has gone to a lot of effort to use Kathleen Gaddy, who has a lot of humorous lines with the German accent. They've
Right.
paired her up with Scott Baldwin now. You've had the opportunity to work with her a few times. She's pretty much a more experienced, trained actress, and I just wondered what you thought about the way they've taken her storyline and taken the character that put you in a coma for a year and kind of turned her into a breath of fresh air and humor on GH.
It's always important when that happens, especially when it's done well. But Kathleen is hey, you're right in everything you said about her being a trained actress, and fortunately, they're allowing her to use all that
Yes.
rather than giving her, a line here and a line there.
Right.
She's central, and putting her with Kin is a good thing because Kin's got a delivery which is like kind of laconic, kind of it's funny or it's not funny depending on how you listen to him. And so the two of them together, I haven't seen them working together, but the two of them together, yeah, I think that's a good match.
Yep.
Inspired.
I was
I know
hoping.
there's been a lot of positive comments about it online, and I just wondered if you had seen them work together. It's good. It's
My
really
stuff
good.
with her was a little more dramatic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
And I
There's
was-
potential. There's a lot of
I
potential
was-
there.
I was playing the fact that, she'd almost killed me.
Right.
And I had that to play with, and I went with it. I said, we can't leave this out.
Right.
So that's how it went.
Right.
But yeah, allowing her to be a comedian, great idea.
Okay.
Well, the more humor, the better, I think.
Yes. Especially now.
Yep,
Absolutely.
you're right.
Well, Tristan,
Can I
what's
ask one quick question when you get a minute?
Go.
please go ahead.
Just one quick question. Do you keep in touch with Kimberly
No,
McCullough?
she's got a whole
Oh.
different career now. And that's the
She was-
reason you're not going to see her on the show because she's
Yeah.
a director now. And that's what
She was
she wants to do.
amazing. She was
Oh, she was
amazing
terrific.
growing up.
I remember her debut and her audition on camera. She was fantastic. And Gloria said, okay, let's put the script down and ad-lib it. And she was
No, I
spot
know you
on.
said- Yeah, she's just amazing how she grew up and everything she did.
Yes, I
You were
agree.
the best. You were the one that made her who she is.
Well, thank you. It's-
And I loved
glad-
you with her all those years. And let me just tell you something. You were the best father on screen, and that's what made you the best father off screen.
Thank you. My
That's
kids
why
might
I
have
just
something
wanted
to
to
say
let
about
you
that.
know that your kids are amazing because of how you were on screen.
Thank you.
You have a beautiful piece of artwork behind you. Sherry, I think you had mentioned that.
You mean that?
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
him.
There was a story behind it.
Yeah, there's another painting underneath that.
I
And
see
that's
they
the
put the
painting
symbol
that-
of Scorpio on it as well.
Yeah, the guy that painted it, he is close friend And it was another painting altogether. In fact, I think that one's been seen on screen. But anyway, months and months and months went by, and he said, come around and have a look at it now. We walked in. I said, where is he? He said, it's over there. I said, what? That he totally changed it. And I was kind of pissed because I liked the first one.
No.
I love it. It's very striking.
Thank you.
I have one question I actually wanted to ask, which was, I always thought there was a ton of chemistry between you and Jeannie Francis.
Mm-hmm.
And has there ever been a point where they were like considering having Robert and Laura together?
Boy, there's a real story around this. And it goes right back. I hope there's enough battery in my unit here to get me through it. It goes right back to when I first joined the show. Gloria would take certain people out for dinner and run bits of story like past them. I think it was just an excuse to go out and have a few drinks. But however, this one particular night, and I've been on the show for a bit, and Robert and Laura were kind of a bit of an item. He was just really looking for information from her. And there was a definite chemistry there. Anyway, Gloria leaned over to me and she said, what do you think about Robert and Laura being an item? Now, I didn't truly understand what that meant at the time, but I said, nah, never work. She said, oh. I said, no, he's too sophisticated for her. He's a spy. He's out there. He's just using her. That's it. That's the end of it. And it never came up again after that. That was the. But she knew what was going on out there and knew that if something was to happen to Tony and he left, that, okay, I'm plan B.
Oh, one more quick question. When you get a minute, one last quick question. There's no comparison between you and Duke.
Yeah.
Okay. I get that. I can't hear you. You're gone. You're gone.
Oh, what do you mean I'm gone?
Amy, you
You're-
muted yourself, but now you're unmuted.
Oh, very quickly. Duke was always a jerk because he was always getting himself into trouble for no reason. So there's no comparison between you and Duke. That's all I had to
Right.
say.
But who wears a kilt better?
That's true. You wouldn't get me into a kilt at gunpoint, I'm telling you.
See, there you go.
That's awesome. We've taken up a lot of your time. I really appreciate your patience with our technical difficulties and everything. And we have absolutely loved having you. You have been fantastic.
Hey, it's always a pleasure to talk to you guys. Truly it is. I love Linda's gigs, and to do these, I've got to tell you, in all the time, and we've been doing Zooms now for 1.5 years, and there's always something going on. There's always some technical bit of BS that you never plan for. You plan for what you think is going to be any eventuality, and something always sneaks by. Duh.
So true.
There you go.
Well, thank you so much. Soap Hub really appreciates it, and you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much, Tristan.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.